For decades, American cities relied on a standard playbook for economic growth. Municipalities offered heavy tax incentives, aggressively recruited large corporate employers, and subsidized the construction of massive downtown office towers. Three structural shifts broke that model. Talent is now highly mobile. Digital infrastructure allows work to be fully decentralized, and automation has pushed the economy toward human-centered services. The shift in mobility means cities now compete for distributed workers and solo entrepreneurs with the same intensity once reserved for major corporations. The municipalities outperforming the rest of the country have stopped chasing isolated corporate deals. They focus their resources on building integrated systems that generate local economic activity automatically. We can examine this framework through an operating manual designed for one specific market, the Louisville Growth Blueprint. Louisville possesses strong baseline raw materials. It sits geographically in the center of the U.S., with massive global shipping infrastructure, a rapidly expanding healthcare sector, and a highly affordable cost structure. However, raw advantages and heavy infrastructure do not guarantee growth. They represent potential energy. That potential must be actively converted into operational speed, local ownership, and scalable business creation. A common misconception is that a lower cost of living is enough to attract talent. Affordability is meaningless if a new resident does not also have a corresponding faster path to enter the workforce and earn immediate income. The modern civic economy abandons the recruit and hope method. Economic expansion is treated as a predictable result, driven by four distinct, carefully aligned systems compounding on one another. Aligning workforce, capital, real estate, and talent creates a high-velocity engine designed to convert these raw components into economic output. The primary bottleneck constraining most municipal growth is a lack of people who can step into a role, produce value, and earn a steady income without delay. This diagram outlines the traditional pipeline, 4 years of debt accumulation before delayed earning begins. We can invert this sequence. Moving through training, licensing, and immediate earning compresses the timeline to positive cash flow to under 12 months without student debt. This rapid compression is executed by targeting highly specific industries. Human-centered services like healthcare support, beauty and wellness, and skilled trades allow for short-cycle mastery and state licensing. These roles demand physical presence, human trust, and emotional intelligence, making them highly resistant to automation or digital replacement. For this accelerated engine to function, civic training programs must strip away academic theory. Curriculums must align directly with local employer demands, resulting in state licenses and placed working hours. Speed to earning takes priority over speed to graduation. An activated worker begins spending, paying taxes, and fueling the local economy rather than draining its resources. Standard municipal workforce systems usually declare victory at job placement. This permanently caps a worker's income growth and leaves them entirely dependent on a single employer. To bypass this cap, cities must construct an ownership pipeline. This structured path guides skilled earners into becoming independent business builders within a 1 to 3 year timeframe. This flowchart illustrates the progression. A participant enters as a skilled worker, transitions to an independent earner building a client base, steps up to a micro-owner renting their own space, and finally becomes a business owner who hires others. This transition requires physical infrastructure. Municipalities must develop low-barrier entry points like individual chair rentals, shared suites, or highly affordable micro-retail spaces. Human service industries naturally fit this micro-ownership structure. They require very low startup capital, generate revenue on day one, and scale rapidly by hiring additional personnel. This triggers a macroeconomic multiplier effect. When one service worker becomes an owner, they elevate their income and create job openings for the next wave of trainees, anchoring economic activity in their immediate neighborhood. Grouping 10 to 20 of these micro-businesses in a single corridor creates a clustering effect. They share customer foot traffic, multiplying visibility and establishing serious economic momentum. While generating jobs provides a neighborhood with basic survival income, establishing widespread micro-ownership is the mechanism that builds actual local wealth and permanent economic resilience. Commercial real estate is often treated by institutional investors as a passive financial vehicle, valued primarily for simple rent collection and long-term asset appreciation. That view must be reframed. Real estate is the mandatory physical infrastructure required for economic production. Without activated physical space, the workforce training and ownership pipelines literally have nowhere to exist. This schematic shows the ideal physical node, the mixed-use microeconomy building. The rear is reserved for training and classrooms. The middle section houses workstations for independent earners. The front operates as the retail anchor, generating cash flow to sustain the building. The activation formula requires acquiring underutilized commercial property, immediately filling it with local service businesses to stabilize cash flow, and then replicating the exact floor plan down the street to scale the corridor. Development often stalls when central banks raise interest rates, as higher borrowing costs suppress speculative building and pause major civic projects. High interest rates act as a vital filter. They eliminate purely speculative buyers from the market, driving down entry prices and creating acquisition opportunities for disciplined operators. A piece of real estate does not create value simply because a developer purchased it. Its value is strictly derived from the compounding human production and economic activity happening inside its walls. Outside capital does not flow into a city just because a mayor's office launches a marketing campaign. Investment capital flows exclusively when a system makes the financial returns obvious and operational risk highly manageable. Before deploying funds, investors need empirical proof. They require sightlines on active local businesses, cohorts of workers in training, and real estate producing income, rather than looking at theoretical blueprints or touring empty warehouses. Cities accelerate this process by offering frictionless entry, handing investors pre-identified properties matched with a ready-to-deploy workforce pipeline eliminates the long municipal approval timelines that normally kill deals. Talent attraction operates on similar logic. Skilled individuals migrate away from high-cost cities when a new market offers them a clear professional opportunity, reduced financial risk, and a mathematically faster path to business ownership. Retention hinges entirely on a resident's first 90 days. A municipality must ensure new arrivals have immediate access to income opportunities and structural community integration. Housing strategies most place residents directly adjacent to their work, training facilities, and business corridors. Physical proximity accelerates financial stability and prevents the economic drain of a long daily commute. The capital and talent systems operate in tandem. Activated physical spaces draw in investor capital, and ownership opportunities automatically pull in migrating talent. Top-tier talent and capital pools do not blindly follow civic branding. They follow operational speed, visible opportunity, and systems that make success a structural inevitability. This diagram shows the complete single loop. The workforce engine feeds licensed earners into the ownership pipeline. Those owners physically activate the real estate, and that high-yield infrastructure attracts the necessary capital and talent. The entire machine runs on a strict competitive advantage equation. Lower cost plus faster entry plus immediate earning equals a higher lifetime return on investment. Civic leaders face a crucial messaging distinction here. A city must never market itself merely as affordable, a label that attracts low urgency. It must position itself as a high ROI city that actively accelerates financial outcomes. Maintaining this engine requires a rigorous execution rhythm. Leadership must operate on strict weekly, monthly, and quarterly review cycles, measuring progress explicitly by the number of workers activated and businesses created, rather than the number of committee meetings held. While this specific architecture was designed for Louisville, the mechanics are agnostic. It operates as a replicable plug-and-play model for any mid-sized, undervalued region looking to transition into a high-output, workforce-driven economy. As automation aggressively strips away repetitive digital tasks, the future economy will rely heavily on highly professionalized, locally grounded service networks. A modern city does not rise by chance, luck, or good intentions. It rises by design when it abandons fragmented programs and builds a system where growth is the predictable result of its internal alignment.